Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
We continue our exploration of Ray Kurzweil's The Singularity Is Nearer. This is the second part of our interpretation. One of the most unique ideas in this book is merging the human brain with AI through brain-computer interfaces. Today, we will discuss its necessity and feasibility. In Greek mythology, there is a goddess named Cassandra. She was a princess of Troy and a priestess of Apollo, known for her prophetic abilities. However, she was cursed so that no one would believe her prophecies, which often predicted disaster. In the conclusion of his book, Kurzweil engages in a dialogue with Cassandra. But this time, Cassandra asks the questions, and Kurzweil makes the predictions. The core of this conversation revolves around the integration of humans and AI. Cassandra asks, if AI is so powerful that it can complete all sorts of tasks on its own, why does it need to merge with the human brain? Think about it. Isn't humanity just a burden? Why don't we just let AI handle everything and report back to us? Kurzweil's response is that this is purely due to human needs. We need purpose and meaning in life, and for that, we must be involved in the work. But since our brains can't keep up with AI, we must merge with it. At first, I wasn't too fond of Kurzweil's suggestion. I believe that even without human AI integration, humans still have meaning. Our channel has repeatedly emphasized that, no matter how advanced AI becomes, humans will always have their place. The role of humans lies in two key aspects. First, outputting initiative. Your life experiences, the history of your culture, your genes. These subtle elements collectively determine what you like and desire. Many of these factors are so complex and intricate that they can't be fully digitized, meaning AI will never be able to predict your preferences. Moreover, AI has no history or life experiences of its own, so it lacks personal meaning. Therefore, AI should serve our sense of meaning and values. Since we are products of evolution and AI can be easily replicated, we are more valuable than AI. Second, making decisions. No matter how capable AI becomes, the consequences of decisions fall on us, not on AI. Therefore, AI can only make suggestions, but the final decision-making power must remain in human hands. Kurzweil doesn't mention these 2 points. He merely states that people would feel uncomfortable if they were not involved in the work. I'm not too concerned about whether or not we work. However, one weekend, I watched the movie, Alien, Romulus, which featured many interactions between humans and artificial persons. As I watched, I began to think that, in some cases, it might be better to let AI make decisions. Humans can be slow to react and sometimes lack rationality. But the protagonist was principled and often inspired, showing intelligence far beyond that of AI. No matter how you experiment with these ideas, combining human values and creativity with AI's computational power, judgment, and execution seems ideal. Especially in urgent or rapidly changing situations, humans need to make real-time decisions. Waiting for AI to report via voice could be too slow. A brain-computer interface with direct mental communication would be more efficient. So, the future might be more radical than sci-fi movies portray, with fewer dramatic conflicts. It could be impossible to distinguish between humans and AI. Kurzweil suggests using AI's cloud computing power as an extension of the brain's neocortex. This way, beyond our own neocortex, we can add more and faster layers through AI, potentially increasing our cognitive abilities by millions of times. Our channel recently discussed Max Bennett's A Brief History of Intelligence, where we learned that the neocortex has been key to recent breakthroughs in brain evolution, representing the highest form of intelligence. The neocortex allows us to simulate, understand abstract concepts, predict and communicate with others, and build shared imaginations. Our brains are structurally almost identical to those of chimpanzees, but our expanded neocortex allows us to easily grasp concepts beyond their understanding. Now imagine if our own neocortex were expanded hundreds or thousands of times. What kind of new realm could we reach? Moreover, by directly connecting the brain to AI, we could overcome the input-output bottleneck. Have you ever considered that our brain's capabilities might be limited by how we express ideas? When you have a thought, you can express it through language or movement, both of which are slow and often imprecise. Sometimes you know what you want to say but can't find the right words or don't have the skill to express it. For example, the famous Ming Dynasty scholar Wang Shizhen was a connoisseur of calligraphy and painting, and he is believed to be the author of The Golden Lotus. He was highly knowledgeable and loved to discuss calligraphy, but he couldn't write well himself. He had a saying, "My eyes are divine, but my wrist is haunted." His aesthetic judgment was exceptional, but his hand wasn't trained to express it. If he were alive today, Wang Shizhen would be perfect for using AI to create art. Why should we rely solely on verbal or physical expression? Why translate our ideas into actions or strokes for external processing? If your brain were directly connected to AI, a single thought could instantly change multiple elements of a design. What kind of world would that be? Your output might be as fast as AI's, and fully in line with your vision. Even better, with a brain-AI merger, we might be able to experience entirely new sensations that didn't exist before. Edward Wilso, in his book, The Origins of Creativity, he expressed a similar idea. Human art and literature are severely limited by our input-output capabilities. Many animals have visual, auditory, and olfactory ranges that we have not achieved. What would it be like if technology allowed us to experience those sensations directly in our brains? Kurzweil envisions that, after merging with AI, we will be able to appreciate far more complex, chaotic, nonverbal ideas and indescribable beauty. What kind of cultural and artistic growth would we see then? For example, the current process of AI thinking is like a black box to us. But if we merge with AI, perhaps we could directly perceive its emotions and intuition. What feeling does this chemical structure give you? Why does that magnetic field configuration make you anxious? By then, we might be able to understand and appreciate abstract concepts that are currently beyond our imagination. But first, we need to solve some technical issues with brain-computer interfaces. Elon Musk's company Neuralink is working on brain-computer interfaces, with the ultimate goal of merging humans and AI. The path is clear, but there are several challenges. One issue is signal translation. Our current communication relies heavily on language, which, as we mentioned, isn't innate but something learned within cultural systems. For the brain, this means that different people's brain activity represents different meanings. How can we know what a particular brain region's activity represents? The mapping from neural activity to meaning isn't straightforward. It varies from person to person, and given the brain's plasticity, the relationship between brain activity and meaning can change over time, depending on the environment or context. How can we immediately know what someone's brain wants to say? The current solution is machine learning. Each person gets a personalized dataset, training an AI brain translation interface. A study sponsored by Facebook in 2020 made some progress in this area. By having people wear a helmet and silently think of sentences, the researchers used machine learning to match the captured electrical signals to the words. This research achieved a certain level of accuracy, meaning that the computer could recognize the words you were thinking, just by analyzing brain signals through the helmet. However, Facebook stopped the project in 2021. The project was likely halted because non-invasive brain-computer interfaces have limited resolution and potential. There are currently only two methods to measure brain activity from outside the brain. One is functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, which measures blood flow in different areas of the brain. Where blood flow changes, that brain region is active. This method provides precise imaging but has a time delay. The key issue is that our thinking relies on neurons firing electrical signals, and blood flow changes happen after these signals, with delays ranging from a few hundred milliseconds to several seconds. This makes it hard to pinpoint exactly which flow corresponds to which thought. The other method is using a helmet to measure brainwaves. This measures the electrical signals directly, with no time delay, but since it's measured through the skull, it's difficult to pinpoint where the signals are coming from in the brain. The spatial resolution of brainwave signals is very low, as there are countless neurons in even a few cubic centimeters, making it impossible to capture detailed thoughts. These are just the challenges of output. When considering input, getting information from AI into the brain, non-invasive methods are even less promising. To accurately and in real time read brain information, and input information back into the brain, we need to bypass the skull and directly contact the brain. This leads to the concept of implanted brain-computer interfaces, BCI. In January 2024, Musk's Neuralink, with approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, implanted a chip into a human brain. This device has 1,024 electrodes connected to the motor cortex, capable of processing neuronal signals. All signals are transmitted to the implanted chip, which processes them and then transmits the data to an external computer via wireless network. To ensure the surgery goes smoothly, Neuralink even developed a specialized surgical robot. The experiment was successful. The subject can now control a mouse directly with their brain and type on a phone. This is just the first step, focusing only on outputting motor intentions. To consider all brain signals, future brain-computer interfaces will need to have electrodes spread throughout the entire neocortex. If we use current wiring methods, the surgery would be too extensive. Kurzweil believes the only solution is to wait until the 2030s, when nanobots mature, allowing them to be injected into the brain via the bloodstream. This would enable the nanobots to both receive and transmit signals to the brain. By then, people would be able to connect to a cloud-based expanded brain without surgery. If we follow the rhythm of A Brief History of Intelligence, this will represent the sixth breakthrough in brain evolution. In Kurzweil's dialogue with Cassandra, she offered a prediction regarding government regulation. Cassandra stated that, because the operation of brain-computer interfaces requires the implantation of foreign objects into the brain, no matter how safe you claim it to be, the government is unlikely to support it strongly. Therefore, she believes the merger of humans and AI will be delayed by a decade due to regulatory issues. This prediction makes sense. Currently, the government only approves brain-computer interface experiments for paralyzed patients who, due to conditions like spinal cord injuries or ALS, cannot transmit motor commands from their brain to their limbs. For these patients, the potential benefits of accessing a brain-computer interface outweigh the risks. For healthy individuals, even a small amount of risk must be approached with extreme caution. In my view, there are still many uncertainties ahead. If brain-computer interfaces only allow people to move a cursor or mechanical limbs with their thoughts, they hold little value for healthy individuals. There is currently no experimental evidence that brain-computer interfaces can provide faster or more accurate input and output than language, actions, or human senses. However, it is clear that, for the human brain to upgrade, this path is necessary. This concludes today's content. In the next section, we will discuss, but real people are just information.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.